Well, let's get started. Are we all having a good time? Yeah! All right. Good, good. Stretch the arms. Enjoy yourself. Our next speaker is Pranvera Hyseni. Did I do that close enough? Oh, okay. She is 21 years old and is from the Republic of Kosovo in Europe. She is founder and director of Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo, which is the largest nonprofit astronomy outreach program of her country. She currently attends school at the University of Pristina, a faculty of natural sciences and mathematics. And you also major in geology?
Yeah, it's part of
that. Okay. In just about 2 years, there are now over 100 members in the organization, and everyone is enthusiastic about participating in star parties, something that a lot of us in the States know all too well, at local schools and public squares. All have been very successful. They not only observe the night sky, but solar observe as well, which takes a little more equipment. AOK provides the community and schools many opportunities that they never had before, and actually look through a telescope and learn so much more about astronomy and capturing their attention and involving them in wonderful and exciting science. So let's give it a hand for her.
So to all of you who never heard of Kosovo before, we are a small young country, the youngest one in the Europe basically, and we are located at the Balkan Peninsula, surrounded by Albania, Macedonia, Montenegro, and Serbia. Actually, Kosovo has been part of the former Yugoslavia, so now we are a country. We got our independence in 2008, and we are doing pretty good. But before, we have been really going through a lot because we have been occupied by other nations over and over years and centuries, and that means that we couldn't really own our own territory and do what we want. We didn't have our freedom. So we had the latest war basically in the late 90s when we wanted to separate from the ex-Yugoslavia, because we have been under communist power. So when you are under communist power, you don't have freedom because you cannot do what you want and what you have. And this war was a very big problem for people who lived in our country because they couldn't get educated. Books and schools in Albanian language were stopped, so nobody could go to school if they don't learn Serbian, basically. So this was a very bad thing because if your kids doesn't get education, we know that education is the most powerful weapon to change the world. So if we don't have that, then we don't have a future. So this was the reason why some of the people were teaching groups of students secretly in the houses and private places from other people, because they could go to jail if they would know that they're teaching Albanian. One of these people who taught was also my dad. He works as a teacher for over than 40 years, and 10 years of his life he spent teaching without even getting a penny, because he wanted to teach other kids and to not let them not know how to write and read in Albanian. So now that is my very big inspiration in my life for doing education. This way, people in Kosovo were not happy with the situation. They wanted to be free. And this was the reason why the war started. And we have been going through a lot. It was a very difficult time for us, and it was a genocide, and it was a very bad time. But I'm very thankful to the United States and NATO that helped us during this time, pass the time, and I am alive today. My family too, because of the United States, so I just want to give you a very special thank for that. Actually, during the wartime, 1999, there was also something very special that happened that people were not aware of. It was a total solar eclipse, which is a very rare phenomenon, and it passed through Kosovo. It was visible from us. But people were somehow panicking because they didn't know what is going on. They thought that it's going to be the end of the world, or who knows, it was something rare. So that's why my grandfather, he knew what is going on, and he took me and my family. I was only 4 years old, and he took us in the backyard, showing us the eclipse with a bucket filled with water in the reflection so we could see it in the safe way. And he told us not to be afraid because it's just the moon passing through the sun, and it's just a normal thing that happens in the sky. And since then, this really captured my attention somehow. I said, what is going on? There is very special things in the sky, and I was just 4 years old. And I started going to school, and I remember when our teacher asked us, what do you want to become in the future? Somebody said, I want to be a doctor. Somebody said, I want to be a teacher. And I wanted to be a man who flies to space because I didn't know that it's named astronaut. And also, I remember that time I heard of NASA news and people mentioning NASA discovered this and that. I thought that NASA was a man that does discoveries. Basically, later on I understood that it's just a group of people that does incredible stuff. I also remember my sister was teaching me the planets, the names of them. Pluto was a planet back then, and it was very, very good. Unfortunately, I lost my sister in 2009, but she was my very big inspiration in astronomy. And so later on, I was getting very excited about sky, about seeing these phenomena, and it was very difficult because you cannot see enough if you don't have equipment. You cannot see enough just by the naked eye. I always wanted to have a telescope. I dreamed of that. So I had a Facebook account 2009, and I was using that to make connections with people. I didn't know very good English, and it was very difficult to learn things about astronomy because in our language we miss literature for astronomy. We don't have many books. We just have a few with some very basic stuff. And this was one of the reasons why I wanted to learn English and to know more about astronomy and space. And through Facebook, I met people who had the same passions from other places, and they were having very good knowledge, teaching me stuff. But one of them basically decided to make me a surprise and to give me something I was dreaming for so long. He gave me a telescope. I mean, this was my very first telescope, a 3-inch reflector, and I was the happiest girl in the world when I took that on my hand. And I used that a lot. I was staying awake for the whole night, observing the moon and the planets. I could see the craters for the first time, the Saturn's ring and Jupiter moons and all of this stuff, which is incredible. And then my family was pretty getting worried because I was staying awake all night long and not very good for a kid. So I was using this telescope because I was taking it to my school, and students were getting very excited about that. I had a very small solar filter, so we were observing the sunspots. But when I wanted to register in my high school, we have 2 directions in the gymnasium. We have to study the natural sciences and the social sciences. So when I went to do my natural sciences, the number of students was full, which means that I couldn't register that, so I cannot become a scientist, which is very bad. So I had to do social sciences and do astronomy at the same time. And the teacher who was teaching astronomy as a subject there, she heard about me, and she was wondering, who's this girl from the other program doing astronomy that she's not supposed to and have a telescope? Then she decided to change me the program after 2 years of doing social sciences, even though I was risking my final exam, I could fail it or something like that. But I did pretty well, and I was very happy for that. So I was participating in science fairs and taking my telescope to the students, and every time you could see people getting excited. I mean, hey, they were looking for the first time through a telescope, even though it's a small one. I mean, very tiny. You can see the group of people in the city and everywhere. So this was one of the reasons why it made me always go out there and teach others and just share my telescope because they liked it. So during this time, I used Facebook much more, which I'm very thankful for, and I met much more people from around the world, international astronomers who really helped us. They decided to get me more equipment because they saw us all these people observing with a very small telescope, and they felt bad for that. So they decided to give us more telescopes and mounts and planetary cameras, books, atlases, and many things that we use now. And I am very thankful to the Mr. Stephen Ramsden, who's the global director of the Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project, who donated us the 50% of the stuff we have today. And all these other companies that were really donating us very much. So after I collected enough equipment and I had telescopes and solar glass and all this stuff, I said, why not to found a group that we could probably get other students join us and become all together as one and work and do science together. That's why in 2015, 10th of January, I founded the Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo, which is now the largest program for astronomy outreach in our country. And this is the event that was the first one I did as an AOK, because I was just alone. Even though I was a group, I just founded that. I still didn't have any members, so I had enough solar telescopes, and at that time there was a solar eclipse going on. Then I said, well, we have telescopes, I have glasses, why not go out there in the city and do some solar outreach event? And I put my telescopes there, only 3 telescopes, small ones, and all these people turned out to join us. So imagine how difficult it was to manage all this amount of people with 3 telescopes and a few solar glasses. And it was my family who helped me to take care of the books, because we had a display over here and all this. And we got people from government, from ministry, from different institutes, from all the cities of Kosovo, from Albania, from Macedonia, because they heard that we are going to set solar telescopes and we are going to observe the eclipse in a safe way. Then Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo was becoming very popular. We were doing outreach events very often. We started getting invitations from schools and from everybody. They wanted us to go and set our telescopes and observe the sun or observe the planets during the nighttime and do all this kind of stuff to teach others and get kids excited, because if you're a kid and if you love something, I'm so sure you won't let that. So we became very big, and we are just a few here in the pictures, but basically we are about 100 members now that we work together. We do astronomy camps too. We go up in the mountains, we learn together, we learn how to use telescopes, how to do polar aligning, how to read the celestial maps, because it's not like here, basically. There is nobody to teach us. So we have to teach ourselves somehow and use Facebook and internet to use that as a resource to teach us, because it's very difficult. And this way, then we go out in the public and share it with them. So here I also put just some more pictures of our events. We do a lot, about 2 or 3 a week or so. And we get always very much people coming to look through our telescopes in different schools. And I put this picture that we did during some of our outreach events. No matter what age you are or what profession do you have, it just means that astronomy is for everybody. Everybody is responsible to know about astronomy and know where we are living and where we are going, basically. Then this was another big event. So It was a transit of Mercury in May last year, and as you can see, we got a lot of people wanting to observe the transit of Mercury, very rare event. We never seen that before. So this was a very nice picture. Basically, what was funny about that is this member is the tallest we have in our club. His name is Visarazemi. So people were very curious to get solar glasses. They were jumping and trying to get solar glasses. So, you know, he was keeping them high a little bit. Even though you cannot observe the Mercury transit from the solar glasses, but we still hand them out for free to the people. Then Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo was becoming popular internationally. International astronomers were inviting us to go and visit other places and other museums. So we were invited to go to Switzerland and Italy last year to the Vollandia Museum to visit the NASA moon rock that was displayed in that museum for 3 days. And oh my God, to see a moon rock for the first time. So we went over there. So except this moon rock, we also saw many other stuff for the first time. This is a replica command module Casper of Apollo 16. I got the chance to get in there too. I was very happy. Then we also got invited just after a few days to travel to Australia. So we were crossing the seas to go and represent Kosovo in astronomy to another distant continent. And we were there to do the International Sunday Convention. But apart from that, we were also meeting astronomers, discoverers, and very great equipments for the first time. So we saw this biggest telescope for the first time, a 14-inch. Then we also met astronomers like Terry Lovejoy, which I'm sure most of you know him. He is a comet discoverer. Then the BOSS team, Craig Bach and Peter Marples, who discovered over 28 supernovas, and Jonathan Bradshaw, who discovered double stars and asteroids, Rob Black, who does solar astronomy. He invited us there. So it was very great because we were gaining knowledge from different fields in astronomy. They were teaching us how to do discoveries. And they made us hope that even from the small telescopes we have, you can do something. You never know. So we also visited a meteorite crater in Australia for the first time, and we were the first to be there and explored that. We had devices to look for meteorites and make dimensions and see what was the impact and all these. It was very interesting. Here we were looking for meteorites, but we didn't find some, but it was really good to do that. Then what was the most astounding fact and thing in Australia was the southern skies. We live about 42 degrees north in Kosovo, so we cannot see any of the southern skies. And when I just stepped out of the airport there, I felt lost because I seen all different stars, different constellations, different objects that I never seen in my life before. I was looking for Polaris, geez. Anyway, this was very, very cool to observe new objects from their equipment. So we visited the Leyburn Observatory, Samford Observatory, for the first time to see a planetarium too. I had a planetarium show just last year for the first time. Then these are two pictures I took from Australia with a planetary camera of Mars and Saturn. They came out a little bit better than in Kosovo because they were higher in the sky. And we'll also try to do some astrophotography from Kosovo to tell people that we can also do that because we share the same sky. So this is my very first deep sky imaging of Dumble Nebula. It's not very well focused, but it's very good for the first time though. And here are some lunar and solar images, M42 with different cameras. Here are also deep sky, M51, and some solar ones, globular cluster, and also sun in calcium K. So this is the third wavelength we look at the sun. So actually, after our travels, it was time for us to host international astronomers. So we were very glad and honored to host Mr. Stephen Ramsden, who came and visited us, and except that he also brought us more solar telescopes and more solar glasses, which are very helpful for people in Kosovo. And together we did some outreach events too. It was very good because he has very high knowledge about solar astronomy, and it was very good for us to bring somebody from United States and teach our kids, because our kids are our future, and it means a lot. We were also doing a TV show back then, and Mr. Stephen Ramsden also was hosted by the government Minister of Education. So we get a lot of media coverage. These are just some of the interviews and shows we have been at, because astronomy is a very new thing happening in Kosovo. Nobody ever did astronomy before in Kosovo, and which is very sad. And now we started this new thing, trying to do more and more and popularize the science in our country and bring equipments and do this. Unfortunately, Kosovo doesn't also have an observatory or a planetarium. We also don't have very good telescope. The biggest telescope we have in the whole country is an 8-inch Newtonian. Can you believe that? I mean, when I came here, I seen telescopes like 107-inch, 10 meters, another 1 meter, and I was like, what the heck, you know? Then we were very fortunate to meet the Minister of Education together with Mr. Stephen Ramsden. And since then, we launched the project about vocational training in astronomy to go to the high schools and pass the astronomy more into practical, because we learn astronomy just like from the books, reading Mars, about Moon, but you cannot learn about these objects if you just don't go out there and observe at them and look at them. It's much more different. So this is what we want to do, to just do practical, to observe, go out in the fields and use telescopes. This way is the best to learn astronomy. So the latest thing that happened was coming here to the United States. I was invited first as the keynote speaker at Texas Star Party, but after I got my visa approved, people were inviting me to much more places, so my trip became from 1 week to 4 months. So actually I just but where I have been, where I am at, and where I will actually go, so it's like 13 states of the United States that I will travel for 4 months, and I'm very, very happy, because when I came here, I understood how much less we know about astronomy and how less equipments we have. I mean, I've been to observatories, different ones. You can see up there. And I could see telescopes, many of them, very, very professional telescopes and mounts. We see spectroscopes. We see in the control rooms how they do the discoveries. And I met many astronomers who did incredible stuff. And this means a lot to us. It's our first time to see such things. Basically, it's my first time. And I am very happy because I'm learning a lot. So, today, I'm here at Spacefest. I have been here for 2 more days, and I think I had the greatest time of my life, because I seen astronauts that touched the moon. I dreamed of that. I'm sorry. So, I'm sorry. Thank you. Basically, I am back again to the very first outreach event I have done. And if somebody would tell me at that time that I would go to these places and do all this stuff, I would have never believed that. So I just want to thank everybody for helping me to do this trip. I apologize. I really apologize. I dreamed of this, guys, and today is happening. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of my team because I'm so sure if we were not working together, we wouldn't be here and put our flag here and represent our country and make Kosovo know in astronomy. So I am so sure that all this knowledge and experience I'm gaining here, I will get it back with me in my country and share it with people. And I hope that someday we will have people to send to other planets, to the moon, to Mars, and explore the space. We are also part of the world. I want these kids in our country not to grow up and think, oh, well, I am from Kosovo, I am from a small country, so I can do nothing. No, that's not true. We are also part of the world, and we can change the world by doing this, by educating others. So this is what we do. We want to inspire others and to make a better future. So thank you very much, and God bless you. God bless America. Thank you. Thank you.